The Obama administration is taking new steps to combat climate change, particularly when it comes to agricultural areas, while in Congress the debate continues over how best to address the subject.
The White House says it has a new way to help prepare for the effects of climate change.
We established a number of climate change hubs.
The hubs will be located in different regions of the country, 7 states, to give local farmers help in preparing for the effects of global warming. In addition, 3 substations will be established in California, Michigan, and Puerto Rico.
These climate change hubs and the substations are going to do a risk analysis of crop production and of forestry in terms of changing climates. It'll establish the vulnerabilities that we have in each region of the country. We'll determine from those vulnerabilities strategies and technologies and steps that can be taken to mitigate the impacts and effects of climate change, as well as adapting to new ways of agriculture.
The hubs will be similar to the research already done at agricultural universities across the country, but Vilsack argues they won't be spending money on something already funded by land-grant schools.
It's not duplicative, it's focused. It is using our resources at ARS, which is our internal research service, in partnership. It will allow us to fund additional research. It will allow us to go deeper.
The administration says past experience with severe weather has demonstrated the need for the information the hubs could provide.
Because we didn't have a good assessment and didn't have good forecasting and didn't have a disaster assistance program, that some of the livestock producers in the Dakotas, for example, just couldn't make it. When that snowstorm hit, it didn't wipe out just a few animals, it wiped out the entire operation.
And it's another example of the president bypassing Congress and trying to address climate change through executive actions. At an event sponsored by Politico off Capitol Hill, 2 leaders on opposite sides of the climate debate sparred over how to measure the cost of addressing the effects of climate change.
Now, what the administration has done with the issue of the cost of carbon, in 2010, they've come up with something they call the social cost of carbon, and I think it's at $20 a ton. And
37, then, I think now.
Well, yes,
they
because they, quote, updated it based on no scientific data, but they wanted to be able to say that the costs were of the regulations, which people know are burdensome, expensive, and time-consuming and cost jobs, that the costs, they want to say, are lower than the cost of the not doing a regulation compared to the benefits that they say you should do this regulation. Mm-hmm. So they had to raise the, quote, social cost of carbon from 20 to 37. Then you have some of the environmental extremist groups saying, no, it should be over $300.
When you've gimmicked the market structure that badly by taking what is literally tens of billions of costs every year and pretended that they don't exist, you're not really doing the math that Senator Barrasso suggests fairly, and that's my concern.
The cost may be up for debate, but even Barrasso recognizes the planet's warming trend.
I believe that that climate changes. I believe man has an impact on that. How much of that, I think we do not know. And I focus on the economic impacts of the legislation.
To be sure, the U.S. has made significant progress in reducing its own level of carbon emissions. In fact, the Energy Information Administration recently reported that in 2012, carbon emissions were at their lowest level since 1994, and 12% lower than their peak in 2007. 3 factors are largely responsible: emissions policy, the Great Recession, and emerging economies.
The percentage of emissions that are coming from the United States is actually going down because they're going up so much more other places, whether it's China, India. I mean, realistically, you could turn off the entire United States today, and global emissions would continue to increase for the foreseeable future, at least through 2050.
This may be the only issue in which the Republican Party doesn't want the United States to exercise global leadership. They want to just say, well, China or India is going to do it, so we just have to give up.
I think we shouldn't hurt our economy at the same time.
2 parties, 2 different views on how best to address climate change.